inside the garden wall. Remake the wrong, rewrite the song. Give me a hope that never will die. La 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 la. Never will die.
Hello, everybody. Hey. Welcome to Caffe Lena Poetry with our two featured poets, Leslie Neustadt and Richard Michelson. Let's hear it for our two features. I swore I wouldn't mix up his names, and then there I go. The first thing I said. So we're gonna have two features tonight, which is very exciting. Both great poets. They both have books in the lobby that we're gonna have you guys run back and look at as soon as we have the break. We're gonna have those two come up, then we'll take a break, and then we'll have all our open mic poets coming up. We have a great lineup of open mic poets also. So our first poet up tonight is Leslie Neustadt. She is a poet, collage artist, and a retired attorney. She has two poetry collections. Her first collection was Bearing Fruit, A Poetic Journey, and her newest collection, which we're very excited about, just came out this year, The Sustenance of Stars. She has also been published in a number of anthologies, including Veils, Halos, and Shackles, International Poetry on the Oppression and Empowerment of Women, the Bloomsbury Anthology of Contemporary American Jewish Poetry, and Heels into the Soil, Stories and Poems, Resisting the Silence. So that tells you a lot about Leslie's work. She is also a board member of the International Women's Writers Guild and chairs its program committee. She produces a popular workshop series for the Guild, which she created during the pandemic. Leslie lives here locally with us in Niskayuna. Let's give her a huge welcome, Leslie Neustadt.
It's always a privilege. So I have issues with lights. So if I don't look up, then you know that it's the lights. But I'll try my best. Anyway, thank you. Richard, it's an honor to read with you. I'm going to begin with the opening poem of The Sustenance of Stars. Invocation. Loosen my words, let them fall to earth like soft rain, bring bellflower to blossom. They might take wing with skylarks, be lush as a rainforest, sing the praises of kapok trees, kinkajous, monkeybrush, and mangoes. Let words sling arrows, leave a trail of blood, poems that burn down walls, open halls of justice, echo the pleas of those who cannot breathe. Let them reflect the girl who cries herself to sleep in a cage. They might heal like bone broth, leave a kernel to gnaw on. May these words flow like lava, blaze and glow, shining light on the unseen, unheard. Let them be like rivers. Let them flow. Let them flow. This next one, inspired by Rumi. The wound is where the light enters. I have learned to trust the scent of mint, the healing of lavender, the solace of sugar, birdsong, and the power of the flock, the morning dove's plaintive tune, larks and scarlet-feathered cardinals at the theater. I revel in the prophecy of paratulips, the heavy scent of peonies, and their unlikely marriage to ants. There is a magic in the baobab, a potency of myth, binding us to earth and bolstering our breath. Water is my temple. I trust in the mikveh and its mystery. Poetry is my reverence, best honed in a congregation of writers, embracing the holy and sacred in darkness and light. I once dreamed that my love would be legacy enough. Now I'm turning to a heavier note. It is after the wonderful poet Danez Smith, who was just a finalist for a Pulitzer Prize for his new book. I think it's called Bluff. Alternate names. 1, misbegotten moonbeam. 2, cross-eyed ringlet. 3, chastening rod. 4, flicker of a firefly. 5, Shana 6, loose-leaf notebook. 7, goody two-shoes. 8, kike, who killed Christ. 9, secret stashed in skin. 10, tongue-lashed 10-year-old cunt. 11, Lolita in my father's movie. 12, pregnant. 13, suckled on suicide's icy breast. 14, teaser, appeaser. 15, teenage tinderbox. 16, abandoned boat. 17, guilty plea. 18, unanswered prayer. If we're lucky, as children, we come across somebody who makes a difference and has a seminal influence in our lives, even if it's brief. This is one such occasion for me. The night she came to dinner for Eleanor Roosevelt. What sparked Mrs. Roosevelt to accept my little sister's invitation to dinner in 1962? Breathless, we stood at the bay window like gargoyles, waiting for her to arrive, dressed in our Sabbath best. Mothers standing rib roast, perfuming the air. First lady to the world, she emerged from her groundskeeper's battered station wagon, scuffed brown shoes, a dowdy dress, her hair pulled into a bun from her furrowed face. But her eyes, her bright blue eyes, how gracious she was, as if we mattered. She invited me to read my bat mitzvah speech, Deuteronomy, the blessing and the curse. Awkward, shy, and solemn, I knew of curses, believed plain looks determined destiny. She planted seeds of how a woman makes her life a devotion. No photographs of that evening exist, just the thank you note penned to my mother in loose life scrawl, praising my speech, blowing stardust into my eyes. This next poem is dedicated to Barbara Unger, she who has refined taste. I, on the other hand, are of an earthier sort. Secret society of tongue eaters. We were the kids who ate what was put on our plate. We didn't think about it. Tongue, stuffed derma, chopped liver, lung and stew. For the wedding, my husband's Grandma Rose flew from Schenectady to Philadelphia with 2 brown plaid suitcases. One contained sweet and sour tongue, the other noodle kugel. My beloved mother-in-law, Ruth, loved tongue, but At 90, it was forbidden because of the salt. After savoring a slice at our last lunch, she asked, "Are you having an orgasm yet?" Not too many mother-in-laws give you a line like that. I hope I'm talking like that at 90. Okay, now I'm turning back to a little bit of darkness. Somewhere, a man sets a woman on fire after Niskayuna. I pierce my heart with a jagged branch from the river in remembrance, written out of their stories, their tales entombed, 100 million missing in Asia, pruned by infanticide. Cast as commodities, their dowries devalued them. Women sold as wives, children chiseled from mothers' chests. A woman bludgeoned on the street becomes a poem, stoned because she was raped, because she lifted her veil, because she burned her wedding dress, because she owns a vagina. Women treated as spoils, soiled by soldiers, rape every army's arsenal. Women's bodies are not our own. Cruelty, its own religion practiced by the self-righteous and indifferent. Men commandeer our wombs, nail us to wood to feel like gods. A couple new poems, just so I convince myself I really am a poet. This was put into Marjan, who's both a friend and I've taken workshops with her. And I say she put this into her lithotripy machine to mix up my syntax. Disbelief, 1. Spare lines, open fields, bare, fragrant. What is left unsaid? Each word a soil rich and 2, black. This poem, all these poems, I clutch my poems like a blanket, their corners ragged and 3 torn. Commandment or song, the impulse, relentless, to slow time, fill space. Pace this, Moses, 10, 9, 8, 7, heaven isn't here, 4, on earth. I write with bones turned to stone, burnt with fire, white, black, or what? 5, remains, pages erased. My law books lie on floorboards warped by those who break the broken, the broken, the broken. 6, body politics, our lexicon, hands off. Devora knew what she was doing in her blackest 7 robe. I support peace groups in Israel where Palestinians and Israeli Jews find a way, despite everything, to reach out and stand together and transform unspeakable grief into something else. Zoom room, Jerusalem, Hebron, New York. I am not there. I am not here. Listen. Somebody's parent wants my eyes and ears and mouth, my heart. Let our suffering not be in vain. Hannah, this peacemaker in her own sphere. Shalom. My son Yitzhak was killed on October 7th. In a photo, his dimples, his dark curly hair. I don't want mothers to keep burying their children. She says he loves the desert, the sweetness of the prickly pear. He saved others before himself. This luxury, my weeping, My sons live here. I mean, there and there. Salam. My name is Ahmed. Jewish settlers dropped a boulder on our car. It landed on my wife, Nabila. Jamila, our daughter, was in the back seat. We were on the way to plan her wedding. In a photo, her olive skin, her smile, 1,000,000 sons. Ahmed and Hannah, a chorus. We must learn to live together. Did Ahmed sweat as his wife lay bleeding, waiting and waiting and waiting for the ambulance? Did he see her ghost in his daughter's veiled face? Does Hannah climb the stairs to stare into Yitzchak's room? Does she read the love letters he buried under the mattress? I gotta get back to my list. Okay, I think one making fun of myself is in order. This is After My Worries Have Worries by Laura Villarreal. If you haven't read it, go get it. Maladies trail like a train. My ailments sing melodies, though often off-key. One spawns another until they create a dynasty. Some par thick as thieves. They love to befuddle. A few take turns playing the heavy. One performs stand-up, another slam. I welcome humor if gallows aren't entailed. Collecting conditions since I was a girl, my display cases are envied by Baron Munchausen and his proxies. I'm entombed in a room of medical records. Specialists and pills proliferate with each disease. My blood dyscrasias have learned to behave. They live in a gated community, playing Texas Hold'em with bullies who've taken over. I doff my hat to the magicians who take care of me and their assistants. Antibodies derived from mice and men, and chemo from mustard gas. My cohort is dying or playing the etude of the aged. Chagrined, I'm still making the rounds. The title poem, The Sustenance of Stars. Emancipated from the cunning computer, my ears and eyes unfurl during walking meditation. Each evening, a different tree calls my name. The star magnolia, the evergreen, the oak. Flocks gather among the leaves. Their songs suffuse the deepening sky. There is refuge in the pillowing clouds. My body softens in the wind. I commune with the crescent moon. If only I could remember to kiss the ground. Unfortunately, in America, this next poem talks about something that seems unending, and which we know prayers and thoughts do nothing. Prophet for Elijah Gomez, 2007, 2022. He found his path in nature. It was cut short by Reginald Dwayne Betts from the New York Times Magazine section in The Lives They Lived, where the Times dedicated everything to children who were killed by gun violence. Prophet, Elijah channeled fire to shed light on life teeming at low tide. He was fragile as the tiny fish foraging on the rocky shore. He clung to the dream that he might grow taller, penned a letter to his future self, preserve the natural world. His slight arms, slender figures gathered garbage, drowning sand and sea. Did he hear the hiss of wind snaking through dunes from the 5 bullets pulsing his way. His future once written on the shoreline, his life now a torn page. Remember him as the bald eagle soaring over the river he loved to roam. Sorry. If you saw, I was pretty well organized with my little paper things. These are instructions that may be of some use today, even though the poem is from 2012, an article on Rocket Plunge to the Deep End of the Planet by William Broad from the New York Times, 2012. How to plunge into the abyss. Dress warmly. Await calm seas to shed light. Assume the shape of a torpedo. Slip between the waves. Resist the crushing pressure. Don't stir up so much ooze you can't see. Darkness is powerless ink. Communicate with the mothership. Touch the bottom. Rise quickly. I'll end on this. Downplay the sky's discontent. Release lamentations, the synapse of sorry. Reweave the lace that passes for bones. Rejoice in the miracle of oil and beeswax, small beginnings, the expanse, the unknowing before the next thought whittle its way through the whirl and twirl of the brain. Nightingales will braid your dreams with sage. Capture these sparks, the darting lime green lizard, the dazzling hummingbird swilling nectar, the jeweled dragonfly catching last light. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie. Just give me a minute here because Richard is a little taller than Leslie. All right. So I'm going to start out by telling you that Richard Michelson has served 2 terms as the Poet Laureate of Northampton, Massachusetts. He is also hosts Northampton Poetry Radio. He has published books for children, teens, and adults, some of which have been listed among the 10 best of the year by the New York Times, Publishers Weekly, and the New Yorker. He's received a National Jewish Book Award and 2 Sidney Taylor Gold Medals from the Association of Jewish Libraries. His work was chosen to highlight the literary culture and history of Massachusetts at the 2018 Library of Congress National Book Festival in Washington, D.C. His most recent poetry collection he has in the back tonight, called Sleeping as Fast as I Can. It was one of 12 finalists for the Forward Indies Award. And we're very lucky to have him here with us tonight. Let's welcome Richard Michelson to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Leslie, pleasure to read with you. And got that. And thank you to all those who are listening online. I can't see you, but I can't see anybody in this audience anyway, so it doesn't matter. The light's right in my eyes, as my friend Jay Rogoff, who is a wonderful poet that lives here in Saratoga Springs, is in the room and told me that I won't be able to see a thing. So he's right. Okay, so I write a lot about racism, anti-Semitism, war, gun violence. You're in for a really fun next 20 minutes. So, enjoy yourself. All those things we're not allowed to talk about anymore, but I can't. I have to do what I do. So, I'm going to start with a poem that's a little bit about anti-Semitism, a little bit about gun violence. Alas, my father was a victim of gun violence, and this is called Neighborhood Villanelle. Probably most of you know what a villanelle is. If you do not, you'll get the idea as I read it. You probably have all heard at one point Dylan Thomas's "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night." That is a villanelle. Last three line stanzas, last line repeats, etc., etc. Neighborhood villanelle. In this neighborhood, you'd better learn to fight, my father says. Real schooling's from hard knocks. Books won't save your life. He knows I'd rather write and read. I don't talk back. His love is no birthright. Instead, I bluff, act tough. He teaches me to box. In this neighborhood, you'd better learn to fight, he says, or you'll be prey. Better tough Israelite than studious black hat, defenseless orthodox. Books won't save your life. I know you'd rather write. Next day was Hanukkah, the festival of lights. Hey, Jew boy, some kids jeered, as if I wore earlocks. I was no Maccabee. Bluff called, I could not fight. I came to, battered, bruised, but had no appetite for bloodshed or revenge. Instead, I walked for blocks, prayed books would save my life. I swore someday I'd write these lines, and now I have. We never kissed goodnight, yet every poem I wrote, he saved. The paradox? A bullet stopped his life. Lead plug he could not fight. I escape the neighborhood with every word I write. So a few years back, I had the great honor of being invited to read in Russia, back when they were our good friends, before they weren't our friends, before they were our friends. I was invited along with a poet friend of mine, a black poet by the name of Robert Coles. After one of the readings, we retired to a bar where my wife pointed out that on the menu there was a drink called the Dead Negro. This poem is called Dead Negro. Nothing is where I left it. The empty, littered lot next to my father's hardware store has turned up 2 blocks to the north. Even the store itself, which sold its last hammer and nail to the contractor who tore it down, putting this substandard duplex in its place, is missing. And the neighbors' children are now the neighbors. And the chalk outline of my father's rained from the gutter where he settled down with a bullet that killed him. Somewhere else, the murderer is murdering somebody else. But everything is the same in this poem, where the poet misplaces his keys. My old Jewish neighborhood is filled with blacks, and the African-American neighborhoods are busy with Asians, and the Mexicans are everywhere. But here, in this dark bistro, in the Soviet-era city of Pskov, 6 hours south of St. Petersburg, there is a dead Negro on the bar menu. The dead Jews, my father among them, rise up in protest like the benevolent protectors they once were. They are looking for the picket line, which is no longer where they left it. And the leftists have moved to the right, and God is looking for God everywhere. Nothing is where I left it. Not my hammer and sickle, not my Star of David, not my well-thumbed book of poems. My wife and children are nowhere to be found. Oh, Amachai, can you help me to find my keys in the pockets of the Palestinian boy moved into my Brooklyn home? His sister is missing, and his mother is not where he left her. It's enough to start anyone drinking. I'll have a dead Negro, somebody says from the next booth. A black man, maybe the one that killed my father. But in this light, I can't tell. Don't we all look exactly the same? And in this light, I can't see any of you. So, the next poem is a sestina. For those who do not know, a sestina is 6 stanzas of 6 lines each. The last word of each line repeats itself in a prescribed format in the next stanza. In the last 3 lines, all 6 N-words appear. There's going to be a test after the reading, so I hope you're paying attention. This poem is called Vermin. I wrote it before our current leader used that word. In pretty much the same aspect it was used in this poem. I should also say, because people often ask me at the end of this poem, everything in it is actually true. Vermin. It was essential, Einstein stated, that he bring his violin to Berta Fanta's salon on Prague's Old Town Square. It is 1912, 4 years until relativity, and 6 before the first wave of the Spanish flu will kill among the 500 million infected the painter Egon Schiele, already despondent over the death 3 days earlier of his lover Edith and their unborn child. Painting his pregnant lover the day before her death, he could already hear the viola and mournful bassoon of Mozart's Requiem Mass. Ready now to sketch himself dying, he gazes into the small square of his shaving mirror and recalls how he first entered the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts at age 16, even before his initial shave. No younger student accepted, before or since. He died never to know he'd won that spot over the 17-year-old Adolf Hitler, who'd later loathed degenerate art and physicist Jews, moving to Berlin to pursue politics, aborting both brush and pen. The square root of time displacing the millennia of atoms is music already usurping Einstein's brain. As, nodding to Max Brod, he readies his violin under his chin. The pianist, who already has 4 of his 83 books penned to literary acclaim, looks squarely into the eyes of his closest friend, Franz Kafka. Brod loves his quiet companion's unpublished scribblings, which violate all of fiction's conventions. He had offered Franz absinthe for courage before inviting him to Berta's, if he'd recite the story about a transformation into vermin. Yet, rising to read to his fellow Jews, even Kafka cannot conceive of violence so extreme that each present will be dubbed a cockroach. For now, though, let's leave these imaginative culture lovers in paradise, and in a Kafkian absurdity of E equals MC squared, time travel to British Columbia, where we'll reappear squarely inside a brothel owned by Bavarian-born Friedrich Trump. Theoretically viable, we can locate the villain who, full of self-love, emigrated at 16 to avoid the military draft. He has already planned a move to Queens, where he'll die 5 months before Sheila of the same deadly flu, his atoms still infecting us via his grandson's love of Hitlerian speech. Even Kafka cannot square anti-alien taunts with Melania's Einstein visa violation. I pray thee, Lord, a fevered Mozart pleads. Forgive us, forget us, we are done for. Okay, so I'm going to move to happier stuff like the coronavirus. So it's all relative, as is life. This poem is a sonnet. That'll be on your test as well. It is called Bless You, and it starts with an epigraph that says, since sneezing was the first sign of falling ill with the plague, Pope Gregory ordered prayer for divine intercession. And that, in fact, is why we all say, God bless you, when someone sneezes, because of the Black Plague. Gesundheit, great Aunt Frida calls out. Each sneeze another occasion for my soul to abandon my body. I hurry my index finger under my nose horizontally, blocking both nostrils as tooted, so evil can't seize and inhale to fill the void. Denying the devil his due, Frida dubs it. She who at 60 to my 6 reflexively worries her brow, reaches towards a box of Kleenex and spits over her shoulder. I mimic, patoo, patoo, patoo. Tonight, 8 years older than she was at her death, and dining curbside to curtail the coronavirus, I hear 2 tables over, chew. And for the first time in years, measure the distance between superstition and truth. Around me, panic, as mid-forkfill, everyone freezes. May God keep us upwind from all airborne diseases. So I'm primarily known for my children's books. People always, who know my poetry, say, what do you talk about? You know, death and destruction for kids. I do, actually, but that's okay. But I did not grow up reading children's books. There were none in my house. I'm sorry to say that I didn't read a lot to my children as they were growing up. That was basically what my wife did. But I came to it much later, and it just, writing for kids. And it just was something that never occurred to me. This poem, however, is one I did read to my daughter. It is titled, Reading Kafka to My Daughter. It was a second-grade sleepover in the open space recently renovated above our garage, and 7 7-year-old girls dizzying their bodies in the way a story consumes the one spinning it, a chrysalis of choice and misdirection, until you emerge unrecognizable even to yourself. It happened that I was in the basement reading The Metamorphosis when my wife got the call from her mother and left me alone. Well, not alone, one of 8 in the house before bedtime. So it came to pass that I, rolling out the plastic mat with the wide colored circles, stood among shrieks and giggles as the numerous, if pitifully thin limbs transmuted, left foot red, right hand green, into a single multi-headed, overtired insect. But that, the incessant shape-shifting of our forms and minds, is not what I wanted to say. Nor is this poem about the calls my wife failed at all of the following week, about the inappropriateness of reading Kafka, How Could He, to prepubescence. No, I share this only to better remember the morning after the nightmare, when I went to wake them, their tangled intentions and odd dreams twisted protectively around each other. Then suddenly, like a field of sunflowers, each tilted her face toward the skylight, petals extended upward, as if stretching to touch daybreak's bright yellow sphere. more. So I live in Northampton, where there's a great bakery, which I love. Jennifer, what's it called? I forget. Hungry Ghost, thank you. And the fellow who owns the bakery is also a poet. In fact, everybody in Northampton is a poet. If you get your groceries bag, they always slip a poem in. It's that sort of thing. But he had an absolutely wonderful idea when he was giving away free bread. This is called Recipe. At the bakery, the bread is free, but I just want to stop because I'm timing myself, and I just got a call from my daughter, who was probably heard me somewhere in the universe reading the last poem and is saying, as she often does, that's why I'm so screwed up, because I shouldn't do this. Hi, Marissa. I'm in the middle of reading at Caffe, Lena. Bye. And you're on now on speaker. Say something. Hi. Okay. Whoa. I just read a poem about you. Bye-bye. Okay. You never know. It's all in the timing, you know. Recipe. At the bakery, the bread is free, but the poem recited before bagging each loaf cost $6. A stratagem to celebrate life. Add water, leaven, and let the hymn, the canticle, the psalm rise in your throat. Uninvited to my own party, I didn't realize that the heavenly choir, singing the cacophony of arguments inside my head, was only the quiet couple next door quarreling in bed. What my mother would call a certain recipe for disaster. Of course, everyone deserves health care, shelter, food, even sexual satisfaction. I used to believe in intelligence. Now my wife wants to add loving kindness into the mix. Do we need to hear more from our gods or less? Odd how laughter's portions are larger on the poorest menu. Lord, give us the strength to feed each other and continue. So I'm going to end again because my wife insisted. She said, read a poem, a kid's poem or something, because otherwise everybody's going to be depressed going home. This is from a poetry book that I was commissioned by Simon & Schuster to write for teens, middle schoolers, what they call reluctant readers, also known as boys. And it's a bunch of animal poems. Each animal has an issue, and they all go to middle school. And this is the mole, and the poem is called Holy Moly, and I'm going to end with that. Mama fed me earthworms when I was a baby mole. She chopped them, sliced them, diced them, and sometimes she served them whole. But first she said, excuse yourself, give praise, and don't be rude. We're all of us pursuers, and we're all of us pursued. Some days we get to eat, and other days we are the food. I studied hard at school, and I met my mole goals. I furrowed to my burrow, and I dug my mole holes. I grew up happy, healthy, and I got to smell the roses. But Mama served up truth each night right beneath our noses. No one lives forever. Everybody decomposes. So when the earthworms dine on me, dear God, please rest my soul. I don't pretend to understand your ways. I'm just a mole. Anything you tell me to, I'll do without a question. But maybe you won't mind a theological suggestion? Everybody dies. But how about I be the exception? Thank you. And I just want to say, if you stay for the break, you're in for a treat. My wife is going to be on the open mic for the first appearance ever in her life, reading one of her poems. Sweet. Thank y'all.